On that story many years ago, I saw Ian Botham.
Yeah, I was going to mention Botham. I remember that shot
against McDermott in Australia. It was, I think we were something 500 odd for not a lot, and McDermott came on, and he hit the first 2 balls for 6, and they went straight over his head.
I remember that well, actually. I remember watching that as a child. I think it was at... I'm not sure the ground exactly, but I know that it was Botham's first ball, and he hit it straight for 6, then the next one for 4, and then the third ball for 6, and then I think the fourth he was out.
Wasn't he? Yeah, then they declared, and it was, the crowd had their fun.
Jeff Thompson caught it on the boundary and gave the crowd the finger.
That's right.
Dockrell comes in, and Hughes plays forward very well, and he goes very well forward when he plays forward. As Hughes, he doesn't just play forward, he almost crouches as he faces another ball and comes down, and again, carbon copy of the last delivery, really.
You mentioned Thompson. He wasn't one of nature's gentlemen, was he?
No, I remember seeing some bizarre footage.
He was a bit bordered on the evil, I think, Jeff Thompson.
Dockrell in again bowls, and that's again played forward. I remember seeing some footage of Jeff Thompson catching a wild boar or hog or something in Australia. It's a fearful sight. I couldn't believe my eyes. Imagine him and Lily. Goodness. He comes down the wicket, flicks that into the onside, does Hughes. On-driven, kind of wristy stroke, almost a subcontinental edge to it, and he gets a couple of runs. And past mid-on there, it was kind of wide of him, and past the short mid-wicket. There is a short leg, a point, a cover, mid-off, mid-on. And a fine leg, perhaps a lofted stroke down the leg side, but that's played out on the offside by Hughes. He's now on 39 and Haddin on 21. 242 for 4 the score. And this wonderful fixture here between Somerset and Australia as Dockrell comes in, and he plays well forward to that as the clouds come in above the cricketers' heads. It's not a great day at the moment. It's quite not dark, but it's certainly not as lovely as it was earlier on. We've got the ground about nearly full. It's a wonderful crowd here, and nothing much better than watching Australia play Somerset, really. It's a wonderful sight here as the seagulls fly in above the cricketers' heads, and it's been an entertaining day's play. We've had some drama this morning with Khawaja getting through a little joust with Overton, only to be undone in the end, I think, by Meshta. And then we had, first thing, we had Cowan, of course, who was out, and he had a little contretemps minor one with the umpire on the way off.
He wasn't impressed with that decision, was he?
And then this afternoon we've had some colourful stroke play after Shane Watson's blitz this morning. He hit some beautiful strokes. And then this afternoon we had some nice shots from Michael Clarke before he got out, as Meshta's in, bowling quite quick. That's on middle and off and played out to cover by Brad Haddin, who now has hit some sweet strokes as well. So all told, we've had some great entertainment, particularly from Shane Watson, whose 90 was a sight to behold, and some entertaining bowling, aggressive bowling from young Overton, who really has been bowling some quick, fast bouncers. But the surprise, the golden arm of the day, really, of the afternoon has been Meshta, who's took a couple of key wickets as he comes in now, bowling pretty quick past the umpire, and that's on middle and off, played up to mid-on for no run by Haddin as Jamal Hussain fields and rubs the ball. It's not exactly cold, but there's a strong wind, which often bellows through that big sight screen.
We have classy sight screens
both
here.
Both end. Oh, mustn't mention that. I might get get told off. But no, there's it was some rather hilarious byplay between the crowd there and the security yesterday, I think. But not to worry today, as Meshta bowls that one with the batsman having a good sight of that delivery, and he played it back, had in perfectly, bat and pad close together, and it was well fielded by Meshta off his own bowling. And yes, it's been entertaining stuff today.
So, day and a half through the match, and I think I won't say it's poised perfectly, but it's poised pretty well. It's I think the advantage is obviously at the moment with Australia, but we thought the other day at this time it was with Somerset. So
as that's bowled by Mestre and driven hard up to mid-on, but nicely stopped by Jamal Hussain, who leapt across in a lithe figure that he is, and got down on that quickly and stopped a possible 4 runs. It was a nice stroke, but
he's very tall as well, isn't he? I think
as I speak, hate to be the messenger of doom, but some rain spots have fallen on almost on our head, but on the window in front of us, as that's on middle and off and played back to Mestre, who fields off his own bowling. And yes, it's great talking about players of the past. Do you remember that match you went to, 1985? And it's interesting trying to remember great fixtures between Australia and Somerset down the years. I know that there was a big one in 1995 and in 2005 as well.
I saw that one.
As Mestre comes in, as spots of rain on the top of the roof of this commentary box can just be slightly heard as Haddin goes back and plays that nicely out to point off the back foot for no run. As a huge aircraft swoops in the distance.
Very low, isn't he?
And it's a beautiful old, doesn't look like one of the new aircraft.
I think it's a Hercules.
Beautiful plane is literally going past the Viridor buildings behind it at the moment, and it's quite a sight. Lights flashing on it. Wherever that aircraft is going, I very much doubt you're listening, but you can pick us up. Good luck.
Because he wants to go back to Nether Snowy tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Can you give me a lift? But yes, it's what a sight that was.
You're talking about old matches. Old matches. I saw Dennis Compton hit the 4 that won the Ashes in 1953.
Wow!
And I saw it real.
Goodness me. I'm jealous, suitably jealous. Golden age cricket. Hughes, forward, no run.
I told Nick that. I met Nick and mentioned it to him, and I thought he might say, "Oh God, not another one." But he said, "Did you really?" He was really interested. He asking me all sorts of questions about it.
Yeah, I love vintage cricket. I'm a keen collector. As that's all driven hard,
beautiful.
And that's possibly it's well fielded by Dockrell. By Overton, who runs across with his cap the right way round. Earlier on, it was
that annoyed you, didn't it?
Back to front. It was funny when he bowled that bad delivery that was hit away so beautifully by Hughes. He's been bowling so well, and he walked away most perturbed with his cap back to front like a New York rapper. I said, not quite. He doesn't look anything like one, but it was rather funny for a second as Dockrell comes in and bowls, and that's driven beautifully over into the leg side, and that's going to be 4 runs, 1 drop. I thought it was going to be 6 for a second, but it was a lovely lofted on drive. He down the wicket a little bit and just leant back and spanked it over the leg side, over those fielders' heads. It was nowhere near Overton, really. Went in between them for 4 runs as Doc was in again, bowls, and that's played nicely up to mid-on.
Being an old man,
short mid-wicket more.
Being an old man, I have to ask you, what's a New York rapper?
Oh gosh, well it's a type of music, they say. Doc was in again. Oh, and that's bat and pad close together from Haddin. Lovely textbook stroke.
It's a bit like Status Quo, is it?
Oh yeah, you can't beat a bit of Status Quo. Yeah, I'm sure they've done a record with a New York rapper at some point. You'd be surprised what goes on. In fact, John Arlott used to do the odd record as not with New York rappers though.
No, I don't know.
Haddin plays that together, bat and pad again, and then practices endlessly down the wicket. Endless replays of his own forward defensive. A legend in his own lifetime there. He was truly rehearsing that. But yes, it's there's been some fabulous cricket records down the years. I remember Rory Bremner, the great impersonator, who I know appeared in the Colin Atkinson Pavilion at one stage. I think last season it might have been.
He was here
he did a wonderful record. Yeah, he did a fabulous record. It was a spoof of an old 1980s song called 19, and he did, it was very funny because he went through just about everybody. Richie Benno, of course, and John Arlott, Brian Johnston. It was very funny. But Jamal Hussain is coming on now. You probably heard behind my musical recollections the sound of Julian Katanak, our ex-colleague, announcing Jamal Hussain's arrival to bowl. And without further ado, I think that's 3 overs. I shall hand over to you, Richard.
Right then. Thank you very much, sir. I was getting all excited about the music then. I like Status Quo.
Yeah.
Right then, Jamal Hussain.
Batting all over the world.
That's right. And he's running in now, and he's bowling to Hughes, who flips it round the corner, and it's picked up fairly quickly at square leg, and there's no run. So, Jamal Hussain, he took the first wicket, didn't he, early in the day? And
yes.
He's had a sort of a checkered career with Somerset. He's bowled some good stuff last year. He had, I think, 5 or 6 wickets in one innings, and he bowled brilliantly. But he's not always the same. So he did have a lot of injuries. Running in now, bowling to Hughes,
nice
who
shot.
gives a lovely
late cut.
Late cut again, the famous late cut. Goes for 1.
Nice bit of fielding there on the
that brings
boundary,
the score up to
250 for 4.
Is it gone now?
Is it? No, it's not showing it. No.
I don't know what all the. I think the applause was for a quick bit of fielding.
I think it must have been. It was quite
because,
a quick bit of work by Dockrell on the boundary.
We applaud anything over here, you know.
Oh yes, well, Mr. Blobby was earlier, but he seems to have disappeared.
I think he's been slung out.
Someone's burst the Blobby. We're going to rechristen that stand the Blobby stand, but
yes, it's completely ruined.
Not to be. All the Australian fans, they were literally clapping every run that Watson was hitting this morning. Anyway, extraordinary.
Hussain running up, bowling this time to Haddon, and there's no run. Haddon just pushes it back past the bowler, and it's picked up by Peter Trigo at mid-off. Again, he's a fairly narrow mid-off, which Gabriel was telling us about, wasn't it? Yes, earlier on.
Yes,
very. And then Clark was having a fair old go. Good. Anyway, I'll hand over to you to talk about Jamal Hussain.
Indeed, and it was very entertaining watching Watson. It was an interesting precursor for the Test series, that first Test in a couple of weeks' time between England and Australia.
Yeah.
As Hussain comes in now, past the umpire, bowls outside off stump, but played back up to mid-off for no run. And the score now 249 for 4. Watson was out, caught Trigo, bowled Overton for 90. Cowan caught Barrow, bowled Hussain for 3. Khawaja caught Hildreth, bowled Meshta for 27. And Clark caught Barrow, bowled Meshta for 45. As Hussain comes in now, bowls outside off stump, played beautifully by Hughes, up to cover for no run. Mid-off in the end, cover runs across. And yes, it's 41 now to Hughes, Haddon 26. As I say, Hughes more the sort of Chanderpaul type player, and, not always aesthetic to watch, pretty to watch, but workmanlike, but always seemingly fragile outside the off stump. But even the greatest left-handers have been that way, so he faces now, and that's outside off stump, and it is easy to feel with him that what's he doing in the team, but he's managed to get together 41 now, and Khawaja really looked the business this morning. He was out for, as I say, 27, but he hit a wonderful pull stroke down to the boundary. There were 2 fielders down there that were literally right near each other, and he split them in half, and it was a quick bouncer as well from Overton, who just never seems to tire. He's always bowling fast and faster. The longer he goes on, it seems, you wind him up and he never stops. As Hussain comes in and bowls outside the off stump, that's quite wide. Hughes drives it up to mid-off for no run. And it was quite an exciting stroke that was from Khawaja this morning that lives in the memory. And there were some wonderful ones from Watson as well. Beautiful extra cover drives and on drives. And
he was batting beautifully, Watson. As I say, I wish I'd seen the wicket, because I don't know what happened.
No, indeed.
But we were getting our food, folks.
Indeed. Hussain in again, past the umpire. He bowls, and that's outside off stump, worked away through the offside. He's gone for 1. He's going to come back for a second. Dockrell on the boundary returns it tidily and well, and that's the 250 up.
That's it.
Probably hear the applause in the background. 251 for 4, Australia. Brad Haddon on 26 now. And Hughes on 43, and these two playing quite fluently together. Haddon's come in and just hasn't looked in any trouble at all. He's played really well, and Hughes, after some, I think at least 3 edges past the slips, some possible wickets. There was nearly a catch with Trescothick at second slip, as Hussain is in and he leaves it alone. Has nothing to do with that. Goes through to Barrow and there's no run. And yes, there was a airy-fairy drive outside the off stump that fell in front of a fielder. There was a cut that fell in front of Trescothick, but ricocheted off of him for a few runs. But it was a very good catch earlier to catch Clark from the keeper, Barrow. He did really well. It was a good catch, that was, because it seemed to be going to first slip from Clark. But Clark played well as well. He looked totally unruffled. He just sort of came in and had a relaxed air. He didn't seem to be somebody who was worried or had any fears or nervousness. He was very relaxed with that customary around his neckline, his shirt slightly untucked and up, and all those mannerisms that make him familiar. As Haddin hits that down the ground, that's a fine stroke. That's 6. Magnificent stroke. Hit down the ground, a lofted straight drive, almost played in slow motion as the umpire lifts his arms. And really, that was a lovely shot. He played that with seeming disdain, almost casual disdain.
You missed the last one, I missed that one. I was fiddling
shot.
about trying to get
Wonderful
the things
stroke. He really hit that well. Dockrell is hand on hips, looking really mightily peeved at that, but it really was probably asking for it. He kicks the turf now, Haddin, with sort of statesman-like, business-like acumen. That's his body language is quite not arrogant, just confident and assured and pugnacious.
Yeah,
but it was
I
a
think
classic stroke.
I think arrogant's fine. I've got no problems with a batsman or a bowler
Indeed.
being a bit arrogant if they're delivering the goods. When they're arrogant and not doing it.
That's why I always lose my patience with people say, "Oh, Viv Richards, he was arrogant."
He was arrogant.
Why not? He was one of the greatest batsmen of all time.
Yeah, to watch him come out, to watch him walk to the wicket, it was quite a sight just to watch him walk there.
Yes, wonderful. What a cricketer.
When I was watching him, I mean, I had my dad with him. He was 10, and he and his friends now say that how lucky they were to have been watching Somerset cricket between the ages of 10 and 14.
Well, likewise, as that's on leg stump from Dockrell, and he goes to whip that away on the leg side.
Hit that one for 6, he
doesn't
says.
make contact. No, it's a faster delivery as the rain gets a little bit more steady, as the Seagulls agree by flying in low above the cricketers, as that one is now played out nicely back to the bowler, Dockrell, who the wind blows. It's howling a gale out there. The umpire's he's trying to stop his hat from getting blown off as Dockrell comes in to bowl another ball.
Even the Seagulls are being blown
swoop
across.
in again, yes.
Thousands.
Dockrell's in again and bowls on middle and off, and that's played up to cover. It's quite a dramatic scene here.
Yeah, it's blown very, very windy.
We haven't got the Tempest arriving, hopefully. It's don't want any Shakespearean moments other than those on the pitch, thank you, as Haddin plays that down. Oh, it keeps slightly low, that one. And he sort of goes to play it round the corner, but it sort of falls in front of short leg. But it's kept a bit low as the Seagulls swoop. And Dockrell is in again. Meshter waits, and he goes back and cuts hard. Lovely shot. That's another 4. No trouble at all. Absolutely beautifully played away. Lovely cut stroke. Just went back, and away it went for 4 runs. So a mighty fine over for Brad Haddin. Lovely 6 straight down the ground, lofted straight drive and a lovely cut stroke past cover for 4 runs. So very convincing stuff from Haddin, who goes on to 36 now.
Dockrell's figures have begun to go a little bit.
Sadly, he was bowling very well to begin with.
He's bowled 17 overs here.
He certainly came on and showed great control, because Watson's eyes lit up the second that he came on to bowl this morning. Watson looked like he wanted to wipe the floor with him from the second he saw him. But he managed to keep Watson in check with some very controlled, well-directed bowling. And perhaps he's been on that few overs too long, as Jamal Hussain comes in past the umpire. He bowls, and that's outside off stump. It's cut nicely down to the boundary for a single. He just sort of jogs through, and fielder down there had no trouble at all in returning that.
I think that could have been his last
Dockrell,
over
actually.
for a bit. I think it could have been his last over. He's taken a bit of hammering.
The rain is getting a little bit more steady.
It's due for tea shortly, so hopefully...
Hate to report. Last time I was on air, I'm sure the same thing happened.
Did it happen?
It did, yes. But there's a break in play as Hildreth is now going. Is he going to that sort of very odd position? He is.
Yes, he is.
It's, what did we call it, a silly mid-on? Or
It's I don't know, it's not technically silly mid-on, but he's not close enough for that.
Hussein in, bowls, on middle and off, plays it up to Hildreth, who you almost feel could do with a helmet.
He's standing on the edge of the pitch, isn't he?
I've seen this once before, yeah. I've seen this once before.
And he's about 3 yards in front of the stumps.
I saw this in either the last match or the match before with Hildreth in that position. It's a very new thing that Trescothick seems to be trying. He's a kind of... he's not a mid-on, obviously, because there's a mid-on behind him, but he's not a short leg either. As he faces, and that's tickled round the corner by Haddin. He's taken jogs through a quick single, and
the poor old umpire's running across there. He's only a short. Yes. I don't know. This umpire is not the tallest man. He's a bit like me. Not the tallest man in the world.
But nor is Hughes. He's a diminutive.
And he's running like the clappers to go with the left hand, right hand formation here.
Yes, Hughes, sort of one of those sort of limpet type batsmen. Those sort of players that stick around longer than you expect. As he comes right forward and plays that back to Jamal Hussain. He's sort of short and diminutive and perhaps more gutsy than one would have thought. You know, going into the first test, one would have expected Chris Rogers and Khawaja perhaps to be in the side. I wouldn't perhaps have picked Hughes.
You were a little bit...
he's really doing well here.
Sceptical was probably the word I used earlier on. But he's batting well at the moment.
I think you'll find his figures are pretty poor in Ashes cricket.
Yeah.
Particularly against Anderson outside the off stump.
Oh yes, he could be very vulnerable there. But everybody is against Anderson.
Yeah, Hussain in, and he stretches out and plays well forward, out to cover for no run. Really, head over the ball, textbook stuff. And he's got some of the elements of his technique are very correct, and then others are very incorrect. But it works for him. I guess you can't get where he is without it working. He's done obviously made a lot of runs in state cricket, and he's waiting now. As screams, cheers from Aussies in the crowd ensue as he plays that off the back foot out to cover. And I think perhaps the Australian contingent of fancy dress wearers, Mr. Blobby et al., may have moved to another position in the ground as the rain gets slightly heavier. You can hear them cheering occasionally, but no, I'm pleased to be proved wrong about Hughes in a way, because but there's a cap has been placed on a bail for some reason by one of the cricketers. Not sure why, as the cricketers and the umpires have a little meeting together, and if it's to do with the rain or whether it's just to discuss,
I think
who knows, but Dockrell's coming on and there's cheers going on in the crowd. I wish one knew what was happening exactly. Sounds the sort of cheers that would happen with the Mexican wave or something.
Yeah, it tends to also happen when the
oh, it is a Mexican wave.
It is. Oh, right.
And there they are. I can see it now. They do.
Are there. Right, Dockrell's run up. Sorry, we were watching the audience, and they're
just dabbed down in front of short leg, no run.
Bowling to Haddon. And Dockrell's coming in again. We thought he'd be taken off, but no, he hasn't. Running in, bowling to Haddon. Haddon flips it round the corner, and I think it's probably going to be two. Now, I don't know what the excitement's about.
Just hit 100 or something. It's extraordinary.
I really don't know what they're cheering for.
Absolutely extraordinary cheering going on. They're now doing a magnificent Mexican wave, and I think Ricky Ponting just raised his bat for a century in an Ashes test, the way they were all Don Bradman or something. It was extraordinary cheering going on there, but it's there's certainly excitement. It's good to see as well. You can certainly tell this isn't any old match at Taunton. The Aussies are in town for sure.
That's right. Anyway, Jamal Hussain is now
fun, really.
running up, and he's bowling to Haddon, and Haddon pushes it just forward. It goes picked up by extra cover point, and there's no run.
You just sort of feel there's probably just one person amongst those who probably is thinking, "Oh God, I wish I hadn't sat here."
Yeah, you know? I know that you do. Yeah, they've probably one of those seats that they've bought the seat.
Yes.
They bought that particular seat and they're stuck with it now.
Yeah.
What is he's got something in his eye, I think. He looks as though he's got something in his eye. He's right. Well, whatever it is.
I wasn't here last year when that terrible incident happened with the bail in the eye. Goodness me.
That was horrible. I see that.
I was here the next day.
That was grim. That was frightening.
Commentating, actually. But
Jamal running in, bowling to Haddon. And Haddon flips it out to mid-wicket, and there's no run.
Well, you do notice the security coming in the ground, actually, with it being such a prestigious, exciting fixture as Australia. Obviously, things slightly more formal than usual. In fact, before we started the commentary, before they came out on the pitch after lunch, there was a circle of security men who looked like something out of Men in Black or something.
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
All in dark glasses, and
yeah.
It's almost comical, really. But
have just been pushed neatly away or ignored. So that tells me they're thinking in terms of tea time and they'd like to be here.
Yes, they are. It's it's been an exciting afternoon's play so far, I must admit. Be sad to leave the mic, actually. It's been thrilling.
It's been fun, hasn't it?
Thrilling stroke play at different times and some exciting bowling from Somerset. It's been even Stevens, you'd say, but with Australia, how many runs behind now? They'd be 53, 54 runs behind. That's it's with 6 wickets in hand. They're just sort of edging towards respectability here a bit.
This stand is 54,
and they're going off for tea, or the rain, or both. And it's slightly earlier than usual, isn't it? Tea?
It should be at 22.
22, yeah, but they're just vacating, probably with good reason.
There won't be a waste of time if it doesn't. If this rain doesn't sort of hang on too long.
Yes,
we won't lose any time.
Yeah, I mean we had. Tea will now be taken is announced over the tannoy by Julian Katanak, and so off they go to some round of applause there from a fine crowd. And the covers come out as well, just to protect the middle. And the security men we just mentioned are stood, now this time without dark glasses, men and women, actually, a few women as well. And the photographer below us is losing an umbrella, which is blown away.
It is blowing about a bit.
Manages to catch it.
So
people try and dive for cover and get out of this rain. It's not too heavy, though. It's not dreadful. But the score at the break.
The trouble is, when they go off for rain, it has to. They'll play through rain, but they will never come out to rain that they would have played through if they were out at the time. They'll never come out if there's a bit of rain falling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which always feels a bit sad.
I know. I've noticed that. It's.
I'll go through the Australian
sad facts
scorecard while we're here before we hang up our boots. Watson was caught Trigo bowled Overton for 90. Cowan was caught Barrow bowled Hussain for 3. Kawaja was caught Hildreth bowled Meshta for 27. Clark was caught Barrow bowled Meshta for 45. Hughes is not out 44. And Haddon not out 38. So the score is 266 for 4 off 62 overs. And the bowling figures, we have Jamie Overton, 13 overs, no maidens, 1 wicket for 81.
Surprising economy rate at
it
6
is,
and a bit. Yeah, six and over. I wouldn't have imagined that was the case.
I wouldn't have thought that. He did go for a few. Hussain has got 9 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 31. Meshta, 13 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 55. Peter Trigo, 7 overs, 2 maidens, 0 for 21. And George Dockrell, 20 overs, 3 maidens, 0 for 66. So it is raining now.
It is quite steadily.
It's
but
not very nice.
All the bowlers chipped in, really. A good effort from them all. Meshta springs to mind simply because he seemed to get the crucial wickets of Kawaja and Clark when they were both, at 27.45.
Well,
they were both well set. Kawaja 27 of 34 balls, 6 fours, strike rate of 79. He was just beginning to break free. Perhaps Michael Clark, again, 110 balls. He's innings 7 fours, but we got out at crucial times. And but Mashter went for 4 and over. But all of them did well, really. Overton, Hussain, Mashter being the wicket takers. In the end, Dockrell didn't get a wicket, but he bowled well enough, 3 and over, but it's get a bit more expensive towards the end.
Hadn't liked him, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Lovely straight 6
so there it is.
Down the ground.
So it's time we called it a day and
yes,
let you listeners go and have a cup of tea.
Indeed, we've got a couple of, are they Somerset staff there or coaches there having a practice? Perhaps one of the players out there with a yellow stump. They're just sort of...
They're the Aussies, I think.
Are they?
Put your bins
Get me
on.
binoculars on. Oh, yes, they are indeed, yeah. One's with a tennis racket.
Are you here this afternoon, Gabriel? You are? Jolly good. Hello, sir. How's yourself?
Hello. Well, we've got a colleague that's going to be joining you after tea, joining us now. So we will bid you adieu for the time being. It's been an absolute pleasure. Myself, Ben Manning, and Richard Oliver here. And we both enjoyed keeping you company.
What about
and of course, Gabriel?
The
yes,
Angel
indeed.
Gabriel.
The Angel Gabriel. That's what we always call that West Indian bowler. But as the covers come out, we hope for good news after tea. Let's hope play resumes. But if not, then we've had a lovely session to describe. We'll hope you'll join us after tea. From now, it's goodbye.
Cheers then, folks.